Assalamu alaikum, comrades. I saw that we're all dunking on this guy, and so I figured I'd jump on the bandwagon. So, the term Holodomor, which references the 19...
Wassalamu alaikum, sister. Today I'm gonna dunk on yours and your friends' stupid propaganda points about the Holodomor not being real. We're not even going to talk about the fact that the Holodomor is literally historical consensus and literally like two people disagree with it and you're one of them. Now a lot of our tanky friends like to cite that, oh, the Holodomor is Nazi propaganda as it was propagated by SS Galicia immigrants to Canada. Nazis lie, they never tell the truth, right? Well then of course that must mean that Stalin's a liar, because he was a Nazi by all intents and purposes except for name. Like, he was anti-Semitic as fuck, alright? Perpetrated anti-Jewish purges within the Politburo, so much that there's even a Russian joke going around, a proverb. Moses led the Jews out of Egypt, Stalin led the Jews out of the Politburo. So much that when Stalin was at a dinner meeting, you know, one of his comrades was making fun of Zinoviev's pleas for his life when he was getting executed. One of Stalin's former revolutionary buddies, right? Making fun of him, doing a mocking Jewish accent, like a racist Jewish impression. And by all accounts, Stalin was laughing at it. He found it amusing how one of his former revolutionary, you know, close pals and stuff was begging for his life. You know, not only was he a Nazi, but he was also a fucking maniacal sociopath. And what do maniacal, sociopathic, totalitarian Nazis, fascists, do? Well, they fucking genocide ethnic minorities. Like, what else do you think they're gonna do, right? Now, one thing that seems weird to me is how a mismanagement of grain requisitions and greedy kulaks hoarding all the resources managed to somehow kill only ethnic Ukrainians. Pretty weird, right? Like Kiev, the metropolitan city / oblast, you know, they left it out because, you know, it didn't have a Ukrainian majority. Donetsk, to which only 10 years ago they imported ethnic Russians to work in coal mines, which is minority Ukrainian, also isn't affected. But all of these red areas, which are majority Ukrainian, including Kuban, also Belgorod, which is a Russian region with the most Ukrainians, they somehow were affected. Yeah, definitely is not ethnic cleansing whatsoever. No. It's simply the mismanagement of resources and was a greedy kulaks hoarding all the wealth, definitely. These ethnic Russians in Donetsk are also imported to be a fifth column of sorts, right? So that whenever shit hits the fan, they can rely on these, you know, Russians to stave off any Ukrainian resistance to Soviet oppression. These areas here weren't affected because they're closer to the west, and it's a lot harder to assimilate more Western-minded Ukrainian populations to Russians, as Stalin seen the eastern part as closer to Russia, therefore easier to culturally genocide, in this case also physically genocide. And now you're here like, oh jeez, look at this typical anarchist, right? Never any facts or empirical evidence to back up any of his claims. Simply only feelings, right? Facts over feelings, you know? But you know what? I know you haven't kept them off for a while, but put your thinking caps back on, right? And let's think about this logically. Ukrainians who have been fighting solemnly for their free Cossack homeland against the Muscovite bog, only so that in the middle of that process some balding middle-aged manlet takes power in Petrograd, and now all of a sudden we're brotherly nations. Come on, take all our grain, our resources, take everything from us. Come on, we're brothers. Let's just forget our history of striving for freedom against you. That thing you did, right, where you crossed our borders, invaded us and colonized their land in the 20s, you were just saving us from the bourgeoisie, you know. I mean, some say you're invading us, but no, come on, we're brotherly nations. You know, it's like Ukrainians are just gonna forget all their history like that. Yeah, fuck no. You see, they're not gonna forget their history, and what's gonna happen? if they don't forget their history. They're going to keep fighting. Boom. UPA. Look it up. They're not Nazis either. Banderas spent most of his life for that period in a concentration camp in Sachsenhausen. Right? They're obviously going to fight for their freedom. Some are going to join the Nazis. Shit happens, you know? Right? And just because Nazis, former Nazis or whatever the fuck you want to call them, say that a Holodomor of sorts happened, the fact that they're Nazis doesn't nullify their claim. Okay? The whole reason that they are Nazis is because of that. Is because it happened. They wouldn't be Nazis otherwise. Ukrainians, in their tradition of seeking freedom from Russia, are not just going to remember all the torment Russia has caused it in favour of some fucking proletarian utopia, right? Some fucking metropolitan piece of land, giant massive piece of land where there's no ethnicities or cultures or languages. There's only one language, you know, one state, one party, you know, the Soviet party, and you know, we're all brothers, we're all united in this against capitalism. That's not how human psychology works. There's such a thing as generational trauma. In fact, if you're a progressive tanky and you're watching this, think of it this way. Imagine white people just changed their tune in the 1860s and were like, yeah, let's establish communism in America. Now black and white people are equal. You think black people are just going to forget all the fucking slavery and torment and rape that white people fucking committed against them? You think that they're just going to fucking forget about that in favour of, like I said, some weird metropolitan, proletarian, anti-bourgeois, anti-capitalist utopia? That's also massive and spans most of the world. It's not going to happen. That's not how human psychology works, right? You tankies, you don't have hearts. And I know how you like calling everything CIA propaganda. And you know what the CIA told me? CIA told me that gravity's real. Now tankies, that looks like a nice cliff over there.